Hi there and welcome back to Paolo's channel, and today I would like to present my personal review, about this model. This is the Peugeot 905 evo1. It was the Le Mans racer by Peugeot. I think it was the car made by Jean Todt at the time, before his adventure in Ferrari. It's a quite famous kit, or infamous if you like, because for several years this is a reissue of the original edition. The original box had a larger picture and a little different box and blue corners, and these have been famous to be considered one of the worst plastic kits around of a sports car. Despite it's very sad, because the car is extremely interesting, and it was a Le Mans winner, so it was absolutely a stunner in his category. It's absolutely a model that deserved a proper, I would like to take away that reflex, that maybe is nasty, And so he said, because this was a model made by French Heller, French plastic historical company, and it was about this racer, so it was a French subject made by a French company. And I had several times the previous edition that had a little difference from this reissue. I think it's absolutely worth the money, because it's a model that you can find around 25 to 30 euros nowadays that is in production. I never understand if Heller have a proper ordinary production, or if they just made short runs and so on, because sometimes it's very easy to find them and sometimes it's absolutely not so easy to find them around, and they became extremely pricey. For example, for the truck, the Scania 141, that became ultra pricey. I remember when I was working to the Italian local dealer in the 90s of Heller and Revel and Academy, we had the Scania 141, and I remember that I didn't want to buy it, that the price at the time was €2. So, and they could not sell because it was old kit and so on. If you try to search for that kit today, it's something that you will pay around I guess something of between 80 to 90 euros. So it's absolutely worth it to buy them when they are available. This newer box is very nice, not so solid as the ordinary stuff we are used from Tamiya and also Italeri, honestly, but it's properly make his work, and I like it a lot. They had these stamps over the boxes, so fabriqué en France, produit en France. Then even if you can read El Hobby GmbH, so it means that it's a German company today, but it's okay, it's a I think very, very interesting, and in pure style of Heller anyway. The opening of the box is a little bit tricky, because you don't open as a conventional box we are used to. You don't open neither in the Revel style opening on the side, but you open in this Heller style, and of course I was already going to damage the corner of the box up here. Is nothing, we don't care so much about the boxes, but it would be interesting to study a little better by my side. I mean, this is not an issue that I complain to other, but I'm used to a little different boxes, And opening the box, you basically find this was the shop online from my boat to Cocktail Distribution. I think it was the same shop that I used to sell items in the 80s to them, from my shop also that in Milano, And what you note immediately from the different and previous edition is that Heller made a very, very interesting job about this old model. The real issues of the model at the time were mostly around the wrinkle of the plastic that nearly all the previous edition have. So, for example, this part that is the main body, I'd like to place them in a better position and to have a better light maybe. Here we are, have a look. So this part that was the main part of the body, they tried to recreate this shape. It was a 905 was an extremely aerodynamic car produced by Dassault, if I'm not wrong. Dassault is a French producer of airplanes, so the technology was probably the same used from their wonderful Mirage and Rafale planes, and Dassault was directly involved in the development of this car together with Peugeot to make a winner a winning car, you know. So this part, in all the issues that I had before of this model, was constantly completely wrinkled, you know. The part were up and down, you get something like this and that, you know. The plastic was extremely sensitive, I think, to, I don't know if humidity of warm or different of temperature from the box and the traveling, I don't know. But this was absolutely terrible to try to keep it straight. Add to this that usually we had the typical Heller lack of details, you know. You cannot expect in this kind of models to have the same quality you will find inside the Tamiya, even better in a recent release than Tamiya, that they are constantly stunning and precise and the status of the art when you buy such kind of models, you know. Instead, this was a little, you know, an honoring, a courageous opportunity to build something French, to build something national for them. But you know, the parts were completely wrinkled. I remember also the transparent part were not so nice and not so crisp like this one, probably for the type of plastic that was involved in the first type of production. It was very, very easy that in the previous kit you can find this part here, if you can see through the plastic, you know, in the connection of the main windshield to the sprue windshield, to the sprue part, sorry, that they were very, very easy to be broken and create a kind of damage inside here that can be quite nasty to take it away, being a transparent part, you know. And as well as the tires, they were not nice. Also, this is not nice at all, but at least they are molded in a nice rubber, you know. The first edition that I had, we are talking of stuff that I think I got the first boxes of this stuff in the late 90s, something like that, so anyway 20 years ago. And the rubber was absolutely stone hard. If you just touch them a little, they became completely powered. So there was no use for that, and you had to replace this rubber at least with the rubber coming from a Tamiya prototype, you know. But it can be tricky, because if you are not used to search them in the proper way online or eBay, it can be nearly pricey. I don't mean like the entire model, but at least 10 to 15 euros is absolutely easy to spend in this kind of details, you know, but you had absolutely no choice. I think it should be the same size of wheels you can find in Porsche 962 or in the Sauber Mercedes-Benz. You know, they also have been in the past quite rare kits, so also to find a spare part is absolutely not so easy at all. Think also back in time when we didn't have the opportunity to find this stuff on eBay or on other platforms, you know, and so you had to search maybe from your local shop or from your local dealer or the local supplier for this company to order spare extra tire. It takes months. I remember that I had a box in my shop, a Porsche from Tamiya, and they had a customer that steal the rubber, the tire rubber from the box. I think I still have that box after 20 years because the Italian supplier was unable to provide me the spare tires for that Porsche. No wonder I will make it a GT2 car, so it's no problem for me to have the ordinary tire from the box of Tamiya. But anyway, in this occasion they increased a lot the quality of the plastics, you know. So this time you have much nicer soft rubber tires. Of course, the side of the tire is still too much square, so it needs to be sanded, but it is nothing impossible, you know. It's very, very similar in the same way of the stuff you can find inside the latest Rival production, so it's not so bad at all. The plastics, they didn't provide any plastic cover. The box didn't arrive with the wrapped plastic, just with the plastic stamps aside that I showed you before to keep the box closed. So it's easy that if you start to have some parts floating around the box, it's probably also quite easy to lose some of them. So I think it will be better for them to place them inside a plastic bag, you know, exactly in the same way that Italeri does with their own production, you know. Here they don't do it, but once again, in the plastic you will not find any wrinkage. So probably they gave a kind of refreshment to the molds, you know, because this time all the parts are completely straight, all the parts are completely precise. They didn't increase anything in the quality of the kit, they simply made it better, they made it in the proper way, as it probably should been made back in time when they released the first edition of this model, you know. In this particular subjects is not so easy to find the definitive shape of the final car, you know. They completely divided the model with the idea. Probably it reminds to me what they made later. I suspect that the development of this kind of model could be the same of the similar models, you know, because they had a kind of volunteer to produce something extremely nice and extremely detailed. But in reality, what came off was something absolutely way between, you know, way between a toy and way between a real model. Consider that if you just want a static model of the Peugeot 905 evo1, there is an absolutely stunning die-cast that arrived in the newspaper shop, the kind of the review that I already started to do about some interesting prototypes. I probably also will buy that model of the Porsche 908, that was the 905, sorry, that was absolutely worth the money, painted in a perfect way. Also the paint at the end, we will talk about that because that is the most critical part of the model, you know. But the volunteer probably is the same one as you can find inside the boxes from similar, from the Ford GT, from the other prototype they made. I don't remember if it was what, it was not a Panos, I don't remember what it was something French. I think I have it because I bought all that model, you know. And the volunteer was anyway to make it full detailed, full super kit to look like something like Tamiya, but in reality is completely different, you know. Also that part that should be about the cockpit and so on now is finally printed in the straight and proper way. But as you see, just moving the sprue inside the box is very easy to damage the under parts, you know. There is no protection at all. I mean, the best solution ever will be to do like Tamiya do, so to place them inside every single envelope one by one to protect them from wrinklage, from a scratch and so on, but they don't do, you know, it's a cheap model, it's okay, no problem in that. As we said before, having no protection, as you can see here, this is a live, I'm opening the model here right to you, I just cut at the 3 stitches before I started the video, you know. And for example, this is the wing that was already under there. Could be very easy to lose this part if you don't place them in a better condition, you know. The part is anyway also here not wrinkless, so they increased a lot the quality, the overall quality of the moldings they were producing. And also you can find part of the motor, but the motor is of course, look carefully to that, seems more a mock-up of a motor, so we are used to much higher details, you know. If you look at the pictures, there is not so many pictures, but some are available because this was a Le Mans winner, you know. Of the real 905, you will see that the motor was absolutely incredibly much more detailed, has much more also basic details on the main frame of the V10, you know. So this is absolutely easy, seems absolutely a toy. It is also true that it's modeling, so I think it's no problem if you find the proper documentation searching around the net to make it with the proper detail. But it is a huge work. I mean, it's something that you usually don't expect from an ordinary plastic kit. You expect something nicer, at least at the level of Tamiya prototypes of the 80s, like the 956, like the Nissan they made for the Japanese Group C cars, you know, something in that level, you know, because this is absolutely too much simple. It's missing too many nice details. In the other side, for example, they try to add parts like this and quite nice steering wheel, quite finely detailed. The wheels are not too bad, but not too good, because I mean the shape of the design of the wheel is not mistaken. But for example, the central bolt is absolutely unacceptable to be 1/24 scale. If you look at the real car, of course they had a different and probably much more detailed bolt with proper parts. So this is a part that if you want to build this model, you have absolutely to fix and replace, you know. The building, I never personally built this model because I just hear around bad infos about this kit, you know. Sometimes you never understand if it is because of the model that is unskilled or if it is because the model is absolutely terrible. I suspect it can be the first issue, you know, because if you really want to build something in the proper way, you find a way to do it. In this particular case anyway, the heaviest condition and the heaviest problem that you will find and try to find the solution for this was not around the plastic part, was not around neither the trees, is something that you can absolutely do, was neither something about the clear parts, but the worst part ever that they fix in this newer edition. So that's why I think it's absolutely worth it. The worst part ever of this kit that you if you try to build the previous edition, you will have a nightmare to try to find them. It was this, it was the decal sheet, because in the first edition of the decals, well, it was something that if you have the box in front of you and you know what I'm talking about, you are already smiling down there, you know, but this time they increased so much the quality, and they finally made a proper decal sheet. The livery of this car was extremely simple, you know, it was an official Peugeot racing team, so they had the official colors from the factory as the 205 Group B of the 80s and so on, so they retake completely the colors of the Peugeot racing team over a white body. So the car was extremely clean, was something like the BMW W12 of Le Mans, so it was something that have to have only this livery. And in the first edition, the decal sheet was absolutely crap, because you didn't have absolutely quality decal, the printing was absolutely generical, so it was absolutely impossible to use. You had to replace that with something aftermarket. For some years you find, I think it was MSM Creation or something like that, that produced the next decal sheet, you know, but it was extremely tricky to find them, and also quite pricey, even more back in time when we didn't have the internet and we anyway had the model to try to build this up, you know. Instead, this time, and I think is the most interesting part of the reissues, and I'm glad that I bought this car for a completely different project, you know. But anyway, I was just checking around, and that's why I decided to make a proper review about the model, you know. And also the names of the pilot is not nice, once again, not in the same level of the latest high-level production, like Rebel, for example, have incredible decal sheet, like Tamiya have extremely good decal sheet, also Italeri have cartograph decal sheet, so every producer have extremely good decal sheet. This is absolutely decent and absolutely better than what we had before. I don't dare to say that this is the definitive decal sheet, but it is absolutely something that allows you to finish in a proper, decent way this originally, believed by all, terrible model, you know. The instruction sheet is basically very similar to the previous one. They made it even more clearer. They made with a lot of local commercials. I like a lot when they do instructions so big and clear, because you really go to the obvious part. You know, in my models, if you buy my models, you know that neither me, neither DDP, neither so many other provide instruction, because it's quite obvious that you have to check the reference and build up your model using just your skill, you know. Instead, this company that is dumb-proof stuff, they provide a complete full detail set of instruction and so on. You see, the car itself was extremely nice and extremely cool to see, extremely nice subject, you know. It's something that if you like prototypes and so on, this is anyway a must, despite of course you have to make better the vents. You have to basically to consider this like a kind of big toy that have to become a proper model, so concentrate of the fitting of the parts, concentrate in giving the shape, also concentrate of the part to make the fitting part of the transparent go together with the rest of the plastic part, because sometimes it does not, even more for the wrinklage issues that we had in the previous edition. This time should be no problem. I mean should be, because I never, as I said before, mounted and colored and finished this model by my own. I just had it and sold it, I think, thousands of times, because the car and the box art that they also provide, you know, if you look at the box art, it's extremely nice. They took it from the front angle. When you took whatever from the front angle, also it's a panini with salame, will be aggressive taken from the front, you know. Everything became nicer from this corner of picture, you know. That's it. I think it's absolutely worth the money. As I said, I think I paid all these toys something around 20 to 30 euro posted from France. Of course, I wanted a real French model. I wanted something that was really from them and from their production. Said that after 1 minute that I already had my box, I already damaged the box, you know, the soft box. Well, it's something, if you had a French car, you understand at once what I mean about these details, you know. It's silly details and nothing serious, you know. That's it. Great model. If you like the subject, if you like to suffer, maybe to build up something little challenging, little more difficult than build up the latest wonderful Tamiya perfectly fitting model, the model that you just shake the box and you're done. I deeply suggest you to buy this reissue, the Peugeot 905 evo1. Wonderful model. See you in the next.